Welcome to the Start Somewhere podcast, the show where we empower females through mindset and manifestation. My name is Isabel Prestia and I'm your host. Every Monday, I inspire you with an episode to show you how to attract your dream life. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. It's time to start somewhere together. What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode on Start Somewhere, the podcast. My name is Isabel. I'm your host, and this is going to be an interesting episode, guys. I'm really going to talk about a topic that I haven't seen much of before, and I feel really, really called to speak on. And that is the topic of delayed gratification and sacrifice. Not a sexy thing. We live in a world where we want things yesterday. We want things before we even know that we wanted the things. And so when it comes to building the life that we want and building the life of our dreams and creating this incredible life for ourselves, there is a shit ton of sacrifice that comes with that. And that is something that I believe we don't really see enough about online. And I don't even remember what sparked this idea, but I have a list of notes in front of me. Clearly, I was inspired at one point or another to talk about this, and I feel called to speak about it right now. And I think I'm going to share the sacrifices that I've needed to make to get to where I am right now. And I know that I'm just at the brink of creating this incredible life myself. I know I already have created so many incredible experiences and moments and successes in my life, but so much sacrifice has come with that, and that's just something that we don't really see enough about. And I make it such an intent to be really open and vulnerable and share that vulnerable kind of storytelling content on the podcast, because I think it's really important for so many reasons, just a couple, to give that sense of relatability. So it's you can see that so many parts of my story, I'm sure some of them relate to you in one way or another. We may be such completely different humans, but I'm sure maybe an experience I had that I share relates to you. And so we're bridging the gap. There's no difference between you and I. There's no difference between somebody who's really connected to their intuition or their higher self. There's no difference to somebody who has so much more money and has the life that they want. The difference is their sacrifice, is their commitment, is how much they have said yes to themselves, and they're pursuing what it is they want. They're sticking to their word. It's those pieces of mindset. Mindset is truthfully what separates you from me, from you from somebody else, and so on and so on. And so by, enriching yourself in content like this and other podcasts and reading books and listening to audibles and having really beautiful conversations with the people that leaves you feeling fulfilled and energized and excited, that is what is going to help you up level like crazy in your life. But with that up level comes a degree of sacrifice. And it's so important to recognize this, to understand that it does take sacrifice to get to where you want to go. It's not about being handed on a silver platter. We come from different levels of privilege, and a lot of people are born into incredible wealth and that kind of thing, but we are people who come from a degree of privilege, yes, living in Australia or any other country that I know our listeners tune in from, but at the same time, you can choose to be self-made and whatever that means to you, right? So from that comes saying no to things, comes saying yes to certain things, from knowing if what you're doing right now is what your future version self wants you to be doing. So get in the habit of asking yourself that. Envision yourself, envision who you are right now. Now envision this version of you in 12 months from now, 365 days from now. What comes to your mind? Who is she? Where is she? What is she doing? What has she done? What has she done so far in her day that is different to what you have done so far in your day right now? And really just allow your mind to wonder. Maybe it's super detailed. Maybe it's so vague. Maybe your mind has gone to such a place that seems so far-fetched and so out of reach. Maybe it's the same. Don't judge, but just allow your mind to wander. And once you can really, lock in and anchor in and tap into that essentially, be like, okay, what does that version of myself 1 year from now want to tell me? based on everything I want to achieve, all your desires that are in your heart, in your mind, whether you've told people or not, what does that second version of yourself want you to know? What does she need you to do? Who does she need you to be in order to pull this in? For some context, maybe it involves saying no. Saying no to going out more, saying no to experiences or to seeing people that aren't filling up your cup or giving you the feelings and emotions that you need. It's setting those boundaries. Asking yourself, what friendships in your life right now, yeah, maybe you love them dearly, but maybe you just need a bit of space from them. And that's so fine. I low-key love a lot of low-maintenance friendships where I don't need to see them all the time and it's no personal or hard feelings. We both know we're just doing our thing and we can pick back up no matter what. Like, that is my type of friendship. I really dislike when people put such a burden on you, like, you're so busy, I can't see. Like, it's like, people, we're doing our thing. Like, we're living our life. We're doing what it is we want to do. And so I think it's really nice when we can pick up and there's no hard feelings. It's not personal. Where do you need to start saying no more? Maybe it does involve more of that solitude time at home, caring for yourself. I remember so clearly actually a while ago, like maybe a year or so ago, I went through a period where I was like, I'm no longer into going out and just going out for like pointless drinks and drinking alcohol and paying money on Ubers and food and this and that. Like, I would so much rather spend my time by myself so I can be fresh on a Sunday morning and, you know, go to the gym and do my things and feel productive and set myself up for the week. And that was a season I was in, and that season served me so much. It low-key still is my season. But it's like, that felt quite out of my comfort zone to say no, because I was so used to being this social person, always having to go out, like having to have plans on the weekend. And it's so interesting because if, like, yet again, a year ago, probably more so 2 years ago, if you told me like, Isabel, you are going to rather being at home and doing your thing and, you know, having an early night and being able to wake up fresh on a Sunday, like, you are going to prefer that opposed to having a booked out, you know, weekend, going out for drinks all the time or just always being social. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that now. Like, that's actually crazy, but that's because, like, I have just been leveling up in such a way where it's like I'm getting to know this whole new side of myself all the time, and like, I love it so much. So much. I'm loving the person I am right now and the person I continue to form into. And it's like, I know that so many of our listeners, like, you guys are the same. You know, we're all on our own journey. So cheesy, but it's so true. We're all doing our own things. I speak to so many of you guys where some of you have, you know, you've just found the podcast or you've just found this whole world of wellness and you've gotten the Start Somewhere project as well. And, you know, you're really dabbling into this and like, oh, I just remember that time so much. And it's just like, it's such a special time to be in because you're like, wow, there is just so much I don't know, but so much I get to know. Like, it's flipping it, right? Instead of like, I don't have this or something isn't within you, be like, but I get to learn it. Like, I get to find it. I get to change this about myself. And like, for context, you know, in my life now, like, I'm doing a full, I don't really know what to call it. Like, it's not really like a refresh, but I'm really just like rebuilding the back end of my business and really making sure it aligns to the goals I want to achieve and, you know, the monetary goals, but also the life I want to achieve. And when I first realized I needed to do this, I got shit scared because I was like, I'm so used to doing things a certain way. I know there's going to be a lot of changes. And that's where I'm like, cool, let me pull myself up on this. Let me practice what I preach, everything I share in my podcast and just overall who I am as a person. I get to do this. I get to change all this about my business and where it is I'm going and the trajectory of it. And I get to create the life that I really want. So it's all your mindset. Oh, sacrifice number 1, staying home more. Sacrifice number 2 was being more mindful with my money. So what I didn't really read in any books or know before I started what I started is that entrepreneurship, it costs you money and you don't always make that much money in your first year of business, sometimes even longer, sometimes even like 4 or 5 years, like depends on the person, right? So I really had to be very mindful with my spending. I got very savvy in terms of how to make more money. I became very good at getting by on such a small amount of money. And I realized that savings that I had was for that reason. So That was a really big sacrifice for me. That was the most challenging sacrifice for me because I was so used to living a certain lifestyle, being on this really cushiony social media manager pay, the social media manager salary, and living this, really nice lifestyle. I mean, I wasn't that extravagant, but still always online shopping. I had very blonde hair, so always paying to get that done, always having my nails done, that kind of thing. And lucky I went back to brunette, low maintenance life, but also I just started to be so mindful with my money. And it's so interesting because I will not bat an eyelash about dropping $100 or even like $1,000 on something for my business. But when it comes to buying clothes or buying makeup or just buying consumerism products that I don't really fucking need, I'm like, well, what's the purpose of this? If it's for an event, absolutely. If it's just for the sake of it, what's the point? So I really started to relearn how to spend money. And that was a huge, huge, huge thing for me that I wish I read about or heard about in a podcast. But when it comes to starting a business, have some savings to back you. It's going to make your nervous system feel good. You're going to feel supported so you can still live your life. Like, funnily enough, I still went to Europe and, I still did all these really cool things, but that was savings. That was, preparing, and that was being mindful with my money. Like, it meant saying no to going out to pointless dinners for the sake of it, and to buying nice outfits just because it was cute. Like, I was like, what's the actual purpose of this? And being like, this is just a season I'm in right now, and that's okay, because I know that I'm going to be in such an abundant place where it's not even going to cross my mind for a millisecond. But right now, that's just a sacrifice I need to pay. So that was the biggest sacrifice ever. Number 3, a lot of them kind of piggyback on number 2 because money was just so important. Aggressive saving, minimal spending. So I really saved majority of my money, whether that was putting it back in the business or saving it into my accounts to use for rainy days and that kind of thing. I got really clear on what it is I valued and what it is I prioritized. So traveling for me is, always will be, a huge, huge thing in my life right now. To be transparent, I couldn't really care about saving up for a house right now. That is not my goal. It will be one day, but not now. Traveling is my main focus in life right now. That's what I want to put my money towards, to experiences, because that is what serves me at this current moment. So getting really clear on what it is you value. And, for me, it would look like not going out for multiple dinners or drinks, whatever it may be, because I'm like, I'd rather put that money into my travel account. And so it's saying no to things when they don't align with you and being okay with that. And that was such a big pill for me to swallow because, back in the day, I probably could have done both, right? And I'm not saying don't live your life, because I was going down a point where I would feel really bad for spending money. And I'm like, ugh, this feels so icky and gross. This is not me. And, it was good. Like, I had a friend to really talk this through, and she was like, we're going to go out for a nice dinner every now and then, and you're going to enjoy it and this and that. And yeah, it's really nice that we have that together. And I feel excited about spending that money because it's like something that we plan, and, it's not weekly, but it's still something that is somewhat regular and we can look forward to it. So, being okay with spending money when it comes to celebrations and just catching up with a friend. Like, sometimes you do just need it for no reason, not to live in this strict scarcity mindset. I don't want to make this a whole money mindset episode, although I reckon I will do that definitely in the future. But that was a huge, huge lesson for me. So that was number 3. Number 4, okay, maybe this is a money episode, guys. Overcoming my money blocks. So when I'm spending money, yet again, asking myself, if this is things that are going to advance myself and my business, and just really getting clear on, where does my money story come from? Why am I fearful of spending money? Ask yourself these questions. Money is energy, which I'm sure a lot of us now know. What goes around comes around. And if you listen to my episode with Samantha Daly, she gave a really good analogy actually. Think of like a garden hose, right? And water's flowing through it. Think of that as money. If you suddenly put a kink in the garden hose, that means it's stopped. No money can't come in, therefore no money can't come out. And think of it as like this halo around you. And so I've noticed so much, like I can speak on this because I've noticed this in my life. When I spend money, it comes back to me. And so it's like when I started to realize this, and I really was like attuning to this whole way of being and living, I was like, all right, I'm going to set some affirmations around this and have a bit of fun here. Every time I make an investment, it comes back to me tenfold. And this was my reality. When I signed up for my first coaching program, their payments were something quite big, something I was not used to before. And as soon as I signed up for that, I had signed my first client within 7 days. And the income I got from my first client is what was the first repayment for my coaching program. So I was like, well, there you go. What goes out comes back in. So I'm like, okay, but I just broke even there. So I want to make it tenfold. Like I want it to double. This is like repetition, guys. Like it's not just saying the affirmation once and that's it, but it's truly believing it and embodying it. But the point of this whole story is that question your money blocks. Where are they coming from? I mean, for those of you guys in the project, I know a lot of our listeners are. I go on this so much deeper, but this truly changed the absolute game for me when it comes to attracting more money and more abundance. And just simply asking yourself, why do I have this thought? Is this serving me? And then choosing a different thought. It gets to be that simple. Like so much, it gets to be simple. I have this example as well, actually. I was reading one of my favorite money books and she asked a really simple question about getting clear on your money blocks. And as I was journaling on the answer, I had no idea what was about to come up. I thought it was just a real kind of somewhat surface answer. And then the deeper I went, it's interesting. I don't remember the exact answer it was, but something came up that was quite deep. And I was like, wow, I would not have been able to think of that from like a surface level answer. Like I really had to keep questioning and go why and why and why, which is why questioning your money blocks is so crucial. It's just asking yourself why, essentially. And so as I got down to the root cause of this and I realized what my money block and my fear is actually so crazy. I realized what it was and I was like, wow, that is just so ridiculous. Right? So it's bringing awareness to it. It's not judging it in a way where we're like judging ourselves, but I'm like, that's interesting that is what the block is. So I was like, okay, step 1, acknowledge it for what it is. It's a limiting belief that no longer serves me. And then step 2, what action can you take right now that is going to help you overcome it? And for me, that involved having a conversation with whoever was involved in this. I actually don't remember exactly. Having a conversation and just clearing it up. And that's exactly what I did. And then it's actually so crazy. I had this conversation and it all cleared up. I knew it was just like all in my head. Perfect, beautiful ending. I had a sales call scheduled in for 10 minutes after that conversation. Had my sales call and I signed a client in that call. And I knew that if I hadn't done that money work, I most likely would have let that sale get out of my fingers. I know in my heart that would have happened, but because I did the money work, I got clear on my blocks. It's like something came over me. My higher self was driving me and was allowing me to ask the right questions to then see why we should work together. And now we're working together. And it's just like, it's so interesting how that happened. So getting clear on your money blocks. If this sounds like something you want more of in the project, I share the exact journal prompts, the exact process I go through. So there's no secret there at all. So guys, I am going to leave it here. I want to keep this actually quite short, sharp and sweet. I want to keep it quite short, sharp and sweet. But these are the sacrifices that I have made. And of course, I'm sure by the time this episode goes live and months down the track, there would have been so many more sacrifices, but these really are the key ones. I just want you guys to see, like, it's not always success, win. Like, people show that on social media, but there is just such a level, there is such a degree of, saying no to certain things when we want to, right? And putting our needs first, putting that, what does that second version of ourselves want? Like, putting that first sometimes, because in order to get what you want, you're going to have to do something you've most likely never done before. So allow that to be your driving force. I hope this episode inspired you. And if you have stuck around, I would appreciate it so much if you could leave a 5-star rating and review of the podcast on whichever platform you listen to. It seriously would mean so much to me. You guys help what keeps the podcast going. If it wasn't for your continuous support and downloads and listens every single week, I would not still be here. So I thank you so much. I would appreciate it immensely if you could please take just a minute of your time to rate the podcast. And as always, guys, I send you so much love and I will speak to you in our next episode. Bye, guys.